Welcome back on into the Lads Talking Footy podcast. It is myself, Sam, as always, joined by my friend Jordan Tana, who is looking a little bit upset, mate. What's up?
I think you know what's up, bro. And it's I can accept losing to the Dragons when the Dragons are on fire and they're looking pretty good, but I can't accept losing to the winless Titans at home in just an absolutely shocking affair. And this one's hurt more than any loss in the last couple of years, man. This was a bad one, so I'm still recovering from that, man. I'm on my depressed Warriors fan arc.
I can join you. I haven't got the sunnies on. I'm not sort of full mood with it, but our first Anzac Day game at home, everything, the build up to it, it was packed out. The scene everything that they'd put on before the game, the jerseys were all there. Everything was pointing towards a fantastic Warriors win, a fantastic Warriors showing, a bit of fight, a bit of heart, a bit of mana, but man, they crumbled. They really crumbled. And there was a stat going around that a team that's winless to start the year normally the win comes, I think, the last 3 years in round seven. The Titans obviously had a bye, so this was technically their round seven. So I guess stats don't lie as such, but man, what a tough result.
Yeah, bad juju, bad juju. But I brushed myself off. We'll get into accountability. So the picks, we did all right in the picks in terms of just head-to-head picking. I went 5 from 8, and you went 6 from 8. So you had a very good week there. We started off with, that depressing result. Like I said, Titans beating the Warriors 27-24. I've gone Warriors hard here, and I've gone Warriors 13 plus, which hasn't hit. Sammy, how have you got on?
Yeah, so I got the first tick here. You'll notice a theme with this as we go along with accountability. It seems to be a tick and a cross this week. So CNK tick, Warriors win wrong. That was at $3.60, so we went down there.
Yeah, and we all went down as Warriors fans, but who didn't go down was the Roosters, who went way up with a 60-18 victory over the Dragons. I thought I'd taken a chance here with the Dragons plus 5.5 after the form they're sort of shown me, but well and truly wrong with that one. How about you?
Yeah, I mean, look, we get the tick with Tedesco, anytime try scorer, and then I took the Dragons with a plus 13.5, a big blanket there at $4.25, and they let us down there. The Roosters, like you said, they absolutely thumped them.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're needing like a chip-sized blanket to cover that line, man, because Dragons just let in try after try. And speaking of try after try, the Rabbitohs did the same thing. Storm beating the Rabbitohs 54-20. This one's actually come through. It's kind of our lock of the week here. Storm 13 plus hits there for me. Sammy, unfortunately, you've gone with the same theme, I think.
Yeah, Storm, we get the tick there, we get the win. But Alicia Katoa, he lets me down. He doesn't cross over. Pretty much everyone from the Storm's backline get across, but he doesn't go in there at $3.75.
But on a brighter note for you, your Seagulls, they get home. They beat the Eels 32-18. I've gone Seagulls 13 plus, which I've just covered with the 14-point margin. And then you've had a bit of a blunder in this one.
Yeah, so I took Manly to win this one and Tommy Talau to cross over at $2.70. So we got our win in there.
Very good. And another big result, a few big results this week. Broncos beating the Tigers 34-10. Broncos coming through 13 plus, clutch for me.
Yeah, and we get the tick, Reece Walsh. We get the tick, Dean Mariner. But we get the cross on Katoni Stags. I'm still struggling. I can't quite wrangle that stag at the moment, so we go down there at $10.
Yeah, very unfortunate beat. It's just the one-off misses this week. So I don't know who you pissed off in terms of the rugby league gods, but they're punishing you with just near misses. Something that was a near miss for me was the Panthers beating the Cowboys 26-20. I've actually gone in to cover a -9.5 line, which they were looking pretty good at doing for about 60 minutes of the game, and then the Cowboys started really coming back at home and running some momentum. So unfortunately, go down there. And then King of the Push, I see again.
Yeah, King of the Push, Dearden, he doesn't go over for me, but Sunia Turuva manages to not come out of the sheds. Ivan Cleary decided to give him the week off, so he manages to give me the push. He would have been a shoo-in. Paul Adamotti ended up scoring there, so maybe had Sunia Turuva played, the Strawberry Blonde thing would have picked it up, but he didn't go over, but we get the push.
Yeah, and Turuva might have been just a little too short to catch that Alamotti intercept. And shout out to Alamotti because he had a great game as well. Something that upset both of us was the Knights beating the Dolphins 18-14. Dolphins are back with a -7.5 line, which they unfortunately got.
Yeah, and I went down with a double here. Finns to win and Bostock to score at $2.25. So yeah, we didn't hit the money there.
Yeah, and then to close it off, one of the form teams in the competition at the moment, the Sharks absolutely obliterate the Raiders 40-0 on Sunday night footy, or Sunday Arvo footy for you now that you're in Australia. Sharks -7.5. I got that to come through with the line cover.
Yeah, and again, I take the Sharks to win. We get the tick there. And Ronaldo Mulitalo, he doesn't come in for me. Everyone in the Sharks backline again scores. Everything points towards a Mulitalo try score this year, but he doesn't go in, so we don't manage to cash in on that one.
I'm telling you, man. We talk about Juju every week, and I don't know who you've upset to get the Juju, but Mulitalo's been scoring like a machine, and then just unfortunately doesn't get one in a 40-0 drumming. So that's a real bad one. But repeat set bets, we've gone heavy on just one result, and it luckily came through for us. For me, Storm 13 plus hits on the money against the Rabbitohs in that domination.
Yeah, and I took Storm head-to-head at $1.23, and that managed to go through for me. I was a little bit worried about taking a 13-plus line. I don't know why. I was just a little bit worried that the punting gods might be mad at me and not tick me over in that one, but they decided to get me on all the rest, and that one managed to come through.
Yeah, well, it feels good to be back in the repeat set bet. In the good graces with them, because there was a few dodgy weeks where I was back in the Warriors, and we'll get to that with the 40-20 bets, because I've come through with the Seagulls -8.5 and the Sharks head-to-head, but my Warriors league has let me down. I've tried to actually go with a try scorer in Watini Zalesniak, and unfortunately he couldn't cross in that horrible result. So maybe it's a bad omen when he doesn't score, the Warriors don't get it done.
It's pretty crazy when you have a week where DWZ and Mulitalo both don't score. My 40-20 bet, I had Mulitalo, Bostock, and Mariner at $5.41, and we went down there. So yeah, my unit collect after the round was a -4.07. So we finally see a red week for me, which brings my total units down to 58.33. That's still a plus though, so we're well in the positive there. But yeah, I got humbled. It was I think I was talking shit about it last week about how well I was doing, and yeah, we finally see red this week. As for the Telegram recap, so the Telegram is obviously an app that we use for our free betting service, I guess you could call, that we're running at the moment. So we had 82.5 units staked over the round, and we had 105.98 unit collect, so a good win there. Our biggest collect from that one came from a double between Adam Whanua-Blake and Harry Grant at $14.80. So yeah, there was a few juicy ones. Thursday night was fantastic punting for us. So like we say each week, if you want some free betting tips, just hit the link in our link tree on the Instagram page and jump amongst it. Now we move into the headlines. I got two for you this week. Sunia Turuva has signed a 3-year deal with the West Tigers from 2025 onwards. They kind of snuck under the cover here on this one. It was looking like he was either going to re-sign with the Panthers or potentially pick up a contract with the Dragons. But what are your thoughts on the deal?
Yeah, do you know the pricing details on the deal, like what the numbers are looking like?
From what I saw initially, it was looking like it was 1.2 mil, I believe. I'm not sure exactly what it's confirmed. I did think that was quite overs for what it is, considering you've got Jareem Buller who's there, so it's not like he would be potentially playing. I mean, Jareem Buller's got a lot of health on his side as well, so it's not like he would be rotating in and out. He's got the ability to play centre or the ability to play fullback, but I did think that was slightly overs. As for a confirmed number, I'm not too sure.
Yeah. Well, if that is the ballpark as to what the numbers are looking like, I do think that is a bit of an overpay, because Turuva is very talented. Like, he does have a great step on him, and he can finish tries like he has been doing this year. But I think he is kind of the byproduct to a really good Panthers team and a really good Panthers attack. And he has been getting, the opportunities to score those tries because he's got such a good backline inside him. And I think sometimes I can see him getting a little bit lost on defense, and his handles aren't always the safest as well with high balls and stuff. So I don't know if he's worth that kind of money, if that is the money we are talking about with Turuva. But he is a talented player, and he can provide good use for a Tigers team that is growing. So I'm a little mixed on it. I think if it is that much, it's an overpay, but it is also a very good signing.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it is a very good signing in terms of the versatility that he brings, the ability to potentially switch into a centre position if need be, which is obviously a position that the Tigers are sort of lacking a little bit at the moment, and the ability to cover Jareen Buller at fullback if there is an injury there, as he showed on the international stage what he can do. And I do like the young pieces that Benji Marshall is putting together out there, and it's looking like the Tigers are beginning to move in a very positive direction, which I do like to see from them. And again, it's another one that's poached from this Panthers nest and is put into another stock or breeding stock around the league. So yeah, the top side getting that little bit weaker, and the bottom coming up a little bit, which I do like to see.
The pillars are crumbling down. I mean, it's not a very big pillar. It's not the main pillar, but it's still a little pillar that's, holding the foundation on the edge. So
exactly. And
we could be seeing a changing of the guard, man.
Yeah, and like we see week in and week out with the Panthers, their strength is their back three, and he's obviously a key catalyst to that. He rolls his sleeves up weeks in and weeks out, week in and week out, and gets a job done for them. Now, Luke Keary has announced that he will retire at the end of this season. So 212 appearances with the Rabbitohs from 2013 to 2016 and the Roosters from 2017 till present. He's won a total of 131 of those games. He's won 3 premierships, one with the Bunnies in 2014 and 2 with the Roosters in 2018 and in 2019. What do you make of the recent news from him? It's kind of come out of left field here, really.
Yeah, that has come out of the blue because do you know Keary's age off by heart?
I don't, sorry. I can bring it up if you want to carry on.
Well, he's been around for a while, but I get the impression that he's not that old and he's still got a fair bit of footy left in the tank, because it's not like he's shown too much of a reduction in form over the years. Like, he still is quite a quality 6 and he's still quite dangerous and loves, taking the line on and has a really great running game. So it doesn't seem like that's really slowed down. He had a real great game on the weekend in the 60-18 destruction of the Dragons. So it has come out of left field, but Keary is sort of a guy that kind of goes in and out of the lineups with injuries every now and then. So maybe he's just been feeling it on his body. He's been feeling this 10-plus year career, have the wear and tear effects on his body, and he kind of just wants to go home and give it a rest. He might be in his 30s. He might be in his early 30s, mid-30s. So I can understand it, but I kind of am left wanting, because I think the Roosters have a real good chance to build something here with what they've shown this year, and I think he could be a key part of that.
Yeah, so he is he's 32 years old, and I do agree. I mean, injuries. Sorry, what's that?
Yeah, I was just saying that, young man.
Yeah,
not that old.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, injuries have obviously rattled him a little bit, especially as of late. There's been a few concussion injuries or concussion issues that he's had, and the likes. Obviously, we've seen Dale Finucane just come out recently and announce his retirement as well. So but there's obviously a lot of underlying things that I guess players are going through, sort of sorting these kind of things out. But yeah, it is out of left field for them. And the Roosters, they've got a lot moving on for them. They've got Joey Manu, they've got Joseph Suoli'i, and they now have JWH, he's leaving as well, and now they have Luke Keary. So it is going to be, you talk about the changing of the guard over with Penrith, but there's going to be a mass exodus happening with the Chooks as well. So that is it is sad, and I like the direction of the club heading. And Sam Walker's sort of, this is his team and he's going to be the future for them. I do like that, but it's going to be interesting come the open market now with how the Chooks are going to play with maybe a little bit more extra cash that they've got. If they're going to try and load up on that 6 jersey, if they do see Sandham Smith as someone for the future for them, or if they're going to look at Connor Watson as well. He did a very good job for them. But yeah, Sam Walker's team now moving forward, it'll be interesting to see how they play for the rest of the season as well.
They seem to make all these huge signings when they don't have cap space. This is a real dangerous proposition for a juggernaut like the Sydney Roosters to have as much cap space as they're going to have next year coming onto the book. So, yeah, watch out, man. If you've got some free agents lurking on your team, they might get snapped up.
Yeah, exactly. Props and halves out of Penrith
Yeah.
and for the Roosters as well. Very, very scary times for the league when you've got young guys coming through and you wanting to get ahead. Now we're going to move into State of Origin corner. Last week we obviously covered the back three, and this week we're going to be doing the centres. So I'll start us off with the New South Wales Blues. And at left centre, I'd like to see Stephen Crichton from the Bulldogs this year. I'd be partnering him up with Brian To'o, obviously for the chemistry that they have out on that left side. To'o, that's where he's predominantly been playing this season. Critter can play both sides. We've seen him play it for the Panthers on the left. We've seen him play for the Bulldogs on the left a little bit, but shifting to the right at the moment to make way for Bronson Cherry. But I mean, Critter has started to find some fantastic form in these big games. He's very, very reliable. And in Origin last year, he did a fantastic job as well. So I'd like to see him at that left centre spot. And in the right, I'll be going Tommy Turbo. I think he's looked absolutely lethal this season. If he's ready for Origin, if he's willing to play, I'd like to see him in that right centre spot just because of the experience that he has of playing in that position, and he is more versatile other than if you're going to go with the Tedesco or you're going to go with an Edwards. Tommy Turbo is the one that could play centre and offer a little bit more and that interchangeable ability as well. So those are my two centres that I'd like to go for the New South Wales Blues.
Okay, yeah, and those are two really solid centres there. I've got a few contenders that I'll just rule out that I don't think will make it just based off injury and maybe form. Campbell Graham, I don't think he's going to get back in time and show what he's worth. Latrell Mitchell, I think he's been a little bit out of form and has shown a bit of injuries to be selected in that position. Jack Whiten has looked really dodgy defensively this year, and he's already kind of ruled himself out in the past. There was two contenders that I really wanted to put in, but I just think this other guy that I'm going to take over them has impressed me a little bit more and has been a little overlooked in his time in the NRL, and I think he deserves another opportunity. So the two contenders that I'm not going to pick are Bradman Best and Zach Lomax. I know you picked Zach Lomax last week to be on your wing. I still think there are signs of a little bit of erraticness in his play. State of Origin, you can't really afford to make as many offloads as he sometimes does with the risky flick passes and stuff like that. So I don't want us to potentially get crushed territory-wise by a strong Queensland team. And Best, I think I'm just going to give this other guy an opportunity because he's just in a better team and he seems a little bit safer, but they do basically the same thing. So for that left side, I am agreeing with you. You've said all the right points. Stephen Crichton, I value his defense very highly, and all the points you said about his attack and his chemistry with To'o are correct. But I'm actually going to pick a bolter for my right side, and that is Katoni Staggs, because I said last week that I really value exit meters, and he is one of the toughest, strongest carriers out of yardage at the center position in the NRL. And I think he sometimes gets overlooked because, man, when he's in contact, he's so hard to put down. He has so much functional strength. And then when he's close to the line, he's a threat to score every time. He's pretty much exactly like Bradman Best. You can, pick and choose either one, but he's been playing on the right side, whereas Bradman Best had to move from the left to where Gagai would be on that right side for the night. So I'm going to stick with Katoni Staggs for that right side centre.
Yeah, I like it. I like your option. And I like it even more for who I'm going to name for the Queensland Maroons centres. So at right centre, I'll be going Valentine Holmes. His goal kicking ability, such a threat on offense throughout the Origin. He proves it every single year for them as well. And on the left, I'll be going Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow. The fin up was all through last series. He looked absolutely fantastic. He was born for Origin, and if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And your pick of Katoni Staggs coming in on that right centre spot, I do really like that because he's known defensively, and he would do a jobby on Hamiso Tabuai-Fidow as well, I think. But yeah, the Maroon centres, I don't think we'll see much change from what it was last year, but that's who I'd prefer to see.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that point as well. I don't think there is going to be too much changes. And the only thing that would cause a change for me would be if Hammer isn't quite up to scratch fitness-wise. I think it was a hamstring that he was dealing with, which can be niggly. There can be anything from 3 weeks up to 8 weeks. So if he's back in time, I do agree he will be on that left centre spot. And I also agree with your right centre being Valentine Holmes. But last week, I know I excluded Selwyn Cobbo just purely forgetting. I think I would put him based in form on the wing. But if Hammer can't go, then I think Selwyn Cobbo would be a great option for that left centre as well. So I will say Hammer and Valentine, with an asterisk being that Cobbo goes to that center if Hammer can't go, and how long he stays on the wing where I picked him last week.
That'd be epic seeing the battle of the Brizzy boys at that centre spot.
Yep.
Cobbo on the left and Stags on the right as well. So I like what you're picking. Now the TBC Live Power Play of the round. If you haven't downloaded the app, we say it every week. Go and download it. They're giving away free money at the moment. Enjoy your footy by making live predictions, enjoying a bit of banter within. There's tons of guys all throughout. There's BKA Sport, he's full on into it. Lockie's NRL, random stat guy, Clarkie's column. They're all amongst it. So jump in there and have a look at what's going on. But my TBC Live power play of the round was Luke Brooks' retaliation hit on Ryan Madison. So Madison copped him a good one in the first half, and just a few sets later, Brooksy manages to pick him out and just a textbook tackle. He copped him low under the ribs, picked the big fella up, drove him back into the ground and gave him a nice little facial afterwards. I thought it was fantastic. Ryan Madison's a big, brutal dude. He's gone and put a nice shot on the little half. And the little half has gone, fuck you, I'm going to come back a couple sets later. I see you there. I'm going to cop you on the blind side. And he just hits him perfectly. Now, Ryan Madison is 107 kilos, and Luke Brooks is 88 kgs. And that was a shot and a half from the little fella.
Yeah, I've been super impressed with Luke Brooks tackling all year. Like, this was a great hit this week, but I feel like he's had maybe at least one on a big guy every game. They try to come down his channel, and he's real good at getting under the ribcage like he did here and making some decent contact. So Luke Brooks really stepping up for the halves out there that get targeted. He's really made himself not a target. I've also gone with a half for my power play, and I've gone Adam Reynolds and his fully cramping intercept near the end of the game, because maybe about 5 minutes before that, him and Walsh were completely cramping up, and he decides to stay on because Walsh can't even put one foot in front of the other. And so he was probably thinking in his head, he can't really even walk at all, so I better stay on because we don't really have much back to substitute in here. But the Tigers pretty much straight away identify it, shift it down the side where Reynolds is hanging out on the wing, fully cramping up still. He can barely put one foot in front of the other himself. And the commentators even say, he's on wooden legs. He's going to not be able to stop this play right now. And as soon as they said it, it was like the magic words. Reynolds just reads the pass perfectly, steals the intercept, still cramping, pops it up to fullback Xavier Willison, who quickly came on for Walsh, when Walsh went down. Gives it to Willison, and then as soon as he makes the pass, just goes straight down, collapses, and starts cramping up again. And then gets the Sean Johnson treatment, getting subbed off on the opposite side, going around to the Broncos fans who had made the trip in Campbelltown, and getting a standing ovation for his efforts. So to get an intercept when you're in a state like that is absolutely unbelievable, and it deserves a standing ovation. So shout out to Adam Reynolds for one of the weirdest but great intercept plays I've ever seen.
It was very weird, and you could see Kevy Walters cracking up in the booth. Like you said, he was literally on wooden legs, hobbling out to the sideline. They obviously identified it, went down that left edge, and then just did he just fully showed, or just cheesed off him. He gave him that weak shoulder and then just stuck his hand out, managed to pop it up, and like you said, gave it to fullback Xavier Willison, who had just come on for Reece Walsh a couple of sets earlier and taken one off the back fence for him. It was wild what was happening out there. Walshy was cramping while spitting out on camera at the same time as well. I'm not sure if maybe they'd swapped out the pickle juice with something else, because the boys were cramping up like crazy there. Now, performances of the round. This one was unreal. Brian To'o, game 100 against the Cowboys. He finished with 1 try, 21 tackle breaks, a new NRL record, and 228 run meters. Now, the Cowboys missed a total of 41 tackles in that match. Bizza accounted for 51% of those missed tackles throughout that game. He's an absolute freak, what he does week in, week out. This is just what he does. Off the back fences, hard carries, and they were just dropping off him like flies. 51% of the missed tackles in that game were on Brian To'o.
That is crazy. And I knew he was having a good game, but I was kind of still stuck on Paul Alamotti in the first half. I was like, Alamotti has been just as good. He's been outstanding. And then when I seen the stats at the end, and then when I seen it like that, the way you put it, that is absolutely outstanding. And in your 100th game to step up like that, that just makes me feel even more validation for our winger picks last week for New South Wales. He's got to make it if that's the sort of tackle breaking ability and exit yardage ability he's going to show in New South Wales. So
It's just it's all heart, every single week. I mean, we talk about the run meters that he does. He's always putting up 200 plus run meters every single match. He's the first one back there to roll up the sleeves and keep going. But those little legs, they just keep going and keep going and keep going. And guys just fall off him. It's amazing. You'll see he comes through the line and he's got 2 or 3 guys on him and he's still going and they just fall off. It's like, I don't know, maybe they're using a different kind of baby oil up there in Penrith on those legs, but fantastic.
I was just about to ask you, who has the best calves in the NRL? Is it Tuivasa Sheck, Brian To'o, or Jermaine Asako?
Asako wears his socks up too much, so I haven't seen those little cows out in glistening in the sun. I'd say Tuivasa's got the best ones at the moment. It's like he can't pull the socks up. You know, Bizza could probably pull his socks up, but I don't think Tuivasa's ones stretch that big over those little cows. So I will say Tuivasa has got the best calves, but Asako, if you want to roll the socks down, give us a little glance.
He's probably got some hidden ones in there. I know he's got a sleek shave on his legs every game, so he's probably got some hidden gems. We're going from, the biggest calves in the NRL to perhaps the smallest in my performance of the round, and that was Sam Walker from the Roosters. And we'll cover his stats in the Dally M Lad of the week because no doubt he'll be getting points because he was outstanding. But when he plays with this kind of confidence that he showed in the 16-18 win over the Dragons, there might not be anyone that is more enterprising, more risk-taking, and more creative of an attacker in the game than maybe Cam Munster, because what he showed in this game was absolutely incredible. He showed a glimpse into the Origin future beyond Cherry Evans, maybe, because he might be a little more spastic and risky, but when it works out like it did here, it's rugby league magic. And man, they could have a real dangerous halves combination in the future with Walker and Dearden potentially going forward. But it's going to be a little bit, dicey, and they will, maybe drop games here and there. But in this game, fantastic. The short kicking game was absolutely on fire. 26th minute, chip kick try assist from dummy for Manu on the 4th. 32nd minute, chip kick to penalty try on the 4th. Pretty much was a try, but got taken out by the legs. So got a yellow card out of it as well. 10 minutes in the bin, whatever you want to call it. 60 minutes, perfect up and under, leading to a Manu try. And then 72nd minute, grubber kick, try assist for Butcher, who was on fire himself in that game, and was directly involved in all but 4 tries and kicked a perfect 10 from 10 from the tee. So scored 24 points, but can be accountable for 36 of the Roosters' points. Fucking outstanding performance from Sam Walker. One of the best performances of the year so far. And even defended pretty well because 18 tackles, only 1 missed tackle. It's kind of been one of his weaknesses over the years that he is an easy target for defenders to pick out, but he did a pretty good job in this game, and it's because he was kind of preferencing the chop tackle a little bit more, the rugby union style tackle, and he wasn't getting beaten as much. So 18 tackles, 1 miss, really great performance on that end as well. But it's the attack, man, and what I saw on the attack was absolutely outstanding. So shout out Sam Walker for a great performance.
Yeah, it was absolutely fantastic, and it gets talked about so much at the moment, or to begin this season. Is it Sam Walker's team or is it Luke Keary's team? And when he's putting performances up like this, there was a moment on the left-hand edge where they swooped around the side and Keary was in at that first receiver. Sammy Walker ended up just pushing himself in, stuck himself there. I think that's actually what led up to his try when he put the grubber through. But all I thought was he's just taken complete command of this. He's gone from his right side to his left side. He's pushed the veteran Keary out and gone, no, I've seen something. I'm going to make the play here. And when you're putting up 60 points on a team like that, it's just fantastic. Yeah, you can't ask anything more of him. And like you said, we're moving into the Dally M Lad points from the week, and collecting 3 points was Sam Walker, 24 total points. The try assist, the tackle breaks, the line break assists, 370 kick meters. How many of those led to points was fantastic, and not to mention the 60-18 point victory on Anzac Day to go along with it. Just an all-round complete performance from him. Collecting 2 points in this one was Brian To'o, like we said, 1 try, 21 tackle breaks, an NRL record. It's like he's got to keep breaking records for us to just talk about his performances, because it's 228 run meters to go along with it and the 2 line breaks, game 100. and collecting 1 point. I think this performance sort of went a little bit, was maybe overshadowed a little bit because it happened early in the round, but that's AJ Brimson. He had 2 tries, 5 tackle breaks, 2 line breaks, and 186 run meters. Not to mention, he helped the Titans get their first win of the season and on Anzac Day and playing in New Zealand as well was fantastic from him. There's been so much controversy on whether he should be moving to that fullback spot to replace Jaden Campbell with the injuries, and they've tried to keep him in that centre spot, and lo and behold, they've had to move him back to fullback, and he just plays like this. He's an Origin caliber player. It's just fantastic. And when you're doing stuff like this, it's pretty hard to sort of justify why you might move him back to centre. But AJ Brimson, fantastic. And the Titans managed to get their first win. Now, nonetheless, we move into round 9. So all of these odds are accurate as of Tuesday at 6 p.m. NZ time. If you haven't picked up on the show.
Did you want to just quickly touch on the grub of the week?
Oh, sorry. Yes. Yeah. Grub of the week, mate. Take us away. Yeah. And it's a doozy.
Yeah, it's a very special week this week because we've got a new record. We've got our first ever 2-time grub of the week and about our 4th week of doing the show because Tane Milne, well done. You've done it again. You've won the grub of the week because an absolutely dirty, cheap shot while Cam Munster was trying to stand up in the tackle like he always seems to do because Cam Munster, for some reason, with the puku out, is one of the functionally strongest guys in the NRL and hard to put down. But you don't put him down like that. That was an absolutely dirty move. Speared in, dived at his knees, tried to take his knees out. The commentators were even saying things like he had no intent to tackle him there, just to hurt him. And it's something's been doing the rounds lately on TikTok and on Instagram Reels, and it's a Tane Milne highlight reel of all his really dirty plays and cheap shots to the head and high tackles and all a compilation of all the Simbins and send-offs. And there is quite a few of them in the NRL. So not only does he get the Grub of the Week award, but we can also give him a lifetime grub award because he is well and truly deserved it at this point.
Yeah, when you've got a 2-minute long highlight package of your grubby moments, mate, something's got to change here because, and it's not like they're like, oh, is that grubby? They're bad offense. There's reckless forearms flying everywhere. There's just stupid shoulder tackles coming in. It's like, it's pretty wild. Just one little grub. Oh, sorry.
I was just going to say a little quick honourable mention to Paul Kent as well because he nearly came through and swooped that award up for thinking he's a street fighter at about 50 years old. So shout out Paul Kent. He could have got it as well. Yeah,
he was doing backflips on a Thursday night on the side of the road on some bloody gum trees. Mike Acevo, also an honourable mention from that one as well.
Oh, yeah.
There was some very interesting plays and throughout the week from them. And Kenty... Yeah, there's a few highlight reels flying around on you, some mismatches on what you've been saying on Fox Sports. So yeah, they're pretty funny as well. Now NRL round 9 preview. All of these odds are accurate as of Tuesday at 6 p.m. and we're kicking it off with the Bunnies taking on the Panthers at Accor Stadium. The Panthers are $1.15 favourites in this one. The Rabbitohs are heavy $5.50 underdogs with the line sitting at a decent 15.5. So for the Panthers, Sunia Turuva, he returns back into the starting lineup after being given the week off, which sees Alamotti dropped out of the side. Moses Leota, he is also ready to go. Tane Milne, grub of the week. 2-match suspension, sees the recall of Isaac Thompson. Tom Burgess, he shifts to the bench, which sees Moale start at prop, and Kalamatangi is set to be used in the front row for a second straight week, which sees GCam in the starting spot in the second row. The Rabbitohs, they come into this 1-7 on the season, and the Panthers come into this with a 5-7 record. At this venue, both teams have a 50% win rate. The Panthers have won 5 of their last 6 games against the Bunnies, but the Bunnies did win their most recent matchup, which was actually also at Accor Stadium. Both teams have played 2 games this season on Thursday night. The Bunnies have lost both of those. The Panthers have won both of those. I think the Panthers will make it 3 wins on a Thursday night and take this one here.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really give you a hot take and disagree with this one because, you did say that the Rabbitohs did win the last meeting and they did split the series last year, but the Rabbits were at full strength and kind of rolling at that point in the season, whereas now they're decimated and in horrible form. And they're coming up against a pretty much full-strength Panthers team that is bolstered by the return of Leota and Turuva. I thought Alamotti probably deserved to stay in over Turuva, but, Turuva's back as well. In their last 5 games, the Rabbitohs, they've conceded an average of 37.2 points per game this season, and they're only 1 win on the season as well. And even though they had their moments on attack with some nice touches by Cody Walker against the Storm, they now come up against a Panthers team that still looks pretty good defensively. And they haven't looked at their like premiership best, but they still held it out for the last 20 minutes against the Cowboys team that was actually going into that round with the second best attack. So I don't see the Panthers scoring as much as the Storm in this game, but I also see the Rabbitohs not scoring many points at all. So I'm actually going to back the Panthers to get it done 13 plus at $1.67.
Nice. Now, right wingers, right centers have a fantastic scoring history for the Panthers against the Rabbitohs, and the Bunnies have an alarming record of being scored on that edge this season. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to partner them both up. I'm going to take Tango and Turuva, both anytime try scorers, at $4.50. Now, Manly, they take on the Raiders at 4 Pines Park. Manly are $1.40 favourites in this one. The Raiders are $3 underdogs, and the line is at 8.5. DCE has been named, but his involvement will be dependent on the outcome of tonight's judiciary hearing. Ethan Bellamore comes into the starting spot, for Hamoli Olakwadu, who has accepted his 2-week ban and simply returns from a knee injury. Ricky Stewart has swung the axe for the Raiders here. Hopewade takes over from rookie Chevy Stewart at fullback, and Nick Kotrick comes in to replace Schiller on the wing. Elliot Whitehead also returns from injury to the second row as well. Now Manly, they have a 61% win rate at 4 Pines Park. The Raiders only have a 39% win rate here. Manly have won 3 of their last 4 matches against the Raiders and won 3 of their last 4 matches against them at 4 Pines Park also. Manly, they win this one. Manly 13 plus.
Yeah, seems like a little bit of white privilege, that DCE hasn't quite gotten his suspension yet. So my pick is pretty much depending on him playing and him getting that white.
It's only Hamoli's accepted his one. DCE is going to look to fight it and see what they can come back with. It might only be a 1-game suspension or something. He obviously just doesn't want to accept a 2-game one. So, but yeah, I agree with you.
I'm only kidding, but it is interesting. It is very interesting that he's going to fight it and probably get off it. Yeah. The Seagulls destroyed the Raiders in the last game last year, 42-14, and that team on paper looks a little stronger than this one. I know it's on paper. That doesn't always mean everything. I will just say that it is unfortunate to see Chevy and Schiller dropped. I thought Chevy, he had that one bad game against the Broncos, but he kind of got his confidence back in the last game. And although they lost 40-0, I thought he played a little bit of a better game. And Schiller has been really good up until last week as well, scoring a lot of tries, but he just unfortunately left his hands at home. So Ricky Stewart, he's not afraid to get the axe out and start swinging, and he's really done so here. Seagulls lose Olakwadu, like you said, but they've shown all year that they actually have some depth in their forward packing, with great contributions from Bullymore, Waddell, Sipley, Brown, and Lodge, all providing good minutes all year. And the Seagulls have been in great and dangerous form, going unbeaten in their last 4 games, and includes wins over the Panthers, the Eels, and a draw with the Warriors, and they're averaging 30 points per game. So they're looking real good. The Raiders looked very unimpressive last week on attack since losing Fogarty, and fielding such a young half combination, you were kind of expecting it, but scoring 0 last week and then 10 the week before while conceding 34 and 40 is not good signs at all for the Raiders. I think they're heading in the wrong direction. The Seagulls are kind of heading in the right direction, and they should cut them up. Although I have questions about the Seagulls' defenses, I still trust them to cut this Raiders team to bits, and I don't trust this young Raiders team to generate the offense. So I'm going to back the Seagulls 13 plus like you are. $2.35 is the odds.
Nice. If DCE is out for this one, I'm looking forward to seeing Luke Brooks step into that directional position for Manly and give us a little bit of taste what we might see come Origin time for the Birds. My best bet for this game, Tommy Turbo. He scored 5 tries in his last 3 games against the Raiders. Partner that up with Manly 13 plus, and that'll get you $3.50. The Broncos take on the Roosters at Suncorp Stadium. The Broncos are $1.45 favourites here. Roosters, they are $2.75 underdogs, and the line is at 6.5. For the Broncos, Ezra Mam, Selwyn Cobbo return, which sees Madden and Corey Oates bumped out of the starting side, and Jesse Arthurs, who's going to move back to the wing. For the Roosters, Daniel Tupou, he's back. Victor Radley has also been included in the reserves as he looks to work his way back from a hamstring injury. Now, this is the 49th meeting between these two sides. Both teams have won 24 games each. The Roosters have a 45% win rate at Suncorp. The Roosters have won their most recent meeting in round 0 in Las Vegas, and they have won 4 of their last 5 games against the Broncos. They have also won their last 3 games against them at Suncorp. I think the Broncos, though, they do get them here. They're at home. They've loaded up. They will have sort of rectified the pickle juice situation. Maybe they load up a little bit more at halftime and they keep the guns out there. But they looked fantastic last week. Payne Haas was looking like the pain in the ass that he is. Paddy Carrigan got an early spell last week as well, so he'll be fresh and ready to go. Ezra Mam, Selwyn Cobbo back into the starting lineup. Reece Walsh looking as dangerous as ever. This Broncos team is looking very, very lethal. The Roosters they have been looking good. They've been bolstered up a little bit with Tupou coming back in and Suoliti moves back to the centres to partner Manu. But I do think the Broncos will take this one. And, man, this one's a blockbuster of a game.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolute clash of the Titans because both teams are coming in at full strength, which is what you like to see from two genuine contenders. So this is a game of the round for me. It's going to be an absolute cracker to watch on a Friday night. The Roosters did win the last game, 20-10, but the last time they played at Suncorp, I know their record's been a little dodgy lately against the Roosters, but they did win 32-10, and that's more of what these teams look like nowadays. The Broncos had a slow start to the comp, but now they're rolling and cutting up edges, destruction through the middle with Haas and Carrigan, and kicking by Reynolds has been absolutely precision. Whereas the Roosters have had mixed results lately, but look absolutely incredible, like we've highlighted last week with Sam Walker taking over the show. And I will just say something that I seen Willie Mason say earlier on his podcast Levels. He was suggesting a theory that not having a dominant 13, like Victor Radley can sometimes be, who just plays off of shape and just gets the ball and just, goes back to structure, actually allowed Sam Walker to unlock and get creative in deconstructing the defense. So that was very interesting to me. And I thought it made a lot of sense because you do see teams like the Rabbitohs as well. This is what he was saying, that Cam Murray will get the ball and then it's just straight into shape, whereas Ilias will never touch it. And then maybe you were sometimes seeing that with Sam Walker where he couldn't quite unlock like he was in this game. So I do have a weird feeling about this Roosters team, and it may be arriving before our very eyes with the inclusion of Watson at 13, who just plays a lot more faster.
Yeah.
But I have to go on what the results have been showing me, and it's been mixed results for the Roosters and really solid performances for the Broncos, who are back to full strength now, who went to a premiership final last year. And I can't quite just yet trust Walker to back up blinders like that. So I'm going to stick with the Broncos, who are undefeated at Suncorp as well, but I'm going to call a close game of the round. Broncos 1-12 at $2.75.
Tasty. My best bet for this game, this one's a bit of a feel bet here. I think the Roosters, they'll look to target Dom Young and his matchup early. I like him anytime, so I'm going to lock him in there. Now for the Broncos, they just keep thumping their right edge, and it's looked very, very good when it connects. So I'm going to lock in Dean Mariner there. So I'm going to go Dom Young, Dean Mariner, both anytime try scorers, and that'll give you $4.50. Two right wingers, two form wingers, $4.50 for that. Both anytime I think is pretty good value.
Yeah.
Now the Bulldogs, they take on the Tigers at Accor Stadium. The Bulldogs are $1.44 favourites in this one. The Tigers, they are $2.80 underdogs, and the line is sitting at 7.5. Kurt Mann, he's named to start at lock for the Bulldogs, and Preston is looking to make a push to be back. Whether or not he'll be playing in this one, we'll wait and see. Connor Tracy, he remains at the fullback spot also. Tigers, same 17 for them as they look to bounce back from their Broncos loss last week. But they have a 2-7 record this season. The Bulldogs, they have a 3-7 record this season. But they've showed a lot of great form, and that record isn't a reflection of the way that this team is building. A 57% win rate here for the Dogs, and the Tigers have a 40% win rate here. The Dogs have won 3 of their last 4 games against the Tigers and have won their last 2 games against them at Accor Stadium. I'll be picking the Bulldogs in this one.
Yeah, I have to agree. They, like you said, 26-22 in 2023 and 36-12 in 2022, the last 2 results for the Doggies. So they do have to stick over the Tigers. And the Bulldogs are coming off a bye and are at full strength pretty much. Well, Preston's still looking to come back, but I like the squad. This is the squad that's been getting the results lately. And they have won 3 of their last 5, scoring over 30 in each of those wins, and were really unlucky to lose to the Storm, who have been the form team of the competition, them and the Sharks. So the Bulldogs really got it in them, man. They are explosive and they score points in huge momentum swings throughout the games, whereas the Tigers have shown to be, more competitive at times this year, but they're still just not quite up to the pace, in my opinion, and they still struggle to finish opportunities and struggle in the strike zone. They're just missing a few pieces that really sets them to the rest of the competition. They're not quite up to scratch yet. So I am going to back the Bulldogs. I think the Tigers may be able to make it competitive here again, but I am going to say the Bulldogs cover the 7.5 line at $1.83.
Nice. And if they're going to cover that 7-point line against them, he scored a double against the Tigers' in his last game. That's Josh Adokar on that left edge. I'm going to lock him in here for one, and I'm going to partner that up with the Dogs just head to head, and that'll give you $2.20. Now, the Titans, they take on the Storm, the mighty Melbourne Storm at Cbus Super Stadium. It's not quite on the home ground where I am currently located now, but they are the Storm, $1.21 favourites, and the Titans are heavy $4.50 underdogs, and the line is sitting at 13.5. For the Storm, Tyron Wishart, he is going to retain that wing spot as replacement for the injured Xavier Coates on the left wing. Big Nelson, he has been named despite picking up an injury last week. For the Titans, despite picking up their first win of the season, there's been a few changes for them. AKP, Adam Schopp are out, which sees Philip Sami and Harley Smith-Shields moving back in. Fodawaker is also out due to concussion. Now, this is a 28th matchup between these two teams. The Storm have won 20 of them, and the Titans have won 7. At the venue, the Titans, as it always surprises me, 44% win rate here, and the Storm, they have a 69% win rate. Great number, that one. The Storm have won 9 of their last 10 games against the Titans, but the Titans did win their last game against them at Cbus Super Stadium, and that was a 38-34 result. I think the Storm win this one, and the Storm win this one well.
Yeah. So the Storm did win the last game between them 37-16, but that loss at Cbus that you just mentioned does always creep into my mind. But yeah, I've got to stick with the Storm as well. The Storm lose Coates, but they have the key pieces in the spine still in place, and all the other players as well that have helped them get on this role they've been on this season. And the Titans actually lose a key prop in Mo Fodawaker, so that'll hurt them as well. The Storm have been in the form team in the comp for me, beating quality opponents in the Panthers, Broncos, Warriors, and Roosters in close games as well. And they also showed last week that they can blow the doors off weaker teams. Whereas the Titans have really impressed me. They've been slowly building, and they had their best game last week, and the attacks finally started to figure it out. And Foran has been in actually great form, even though he's quite old and isn't moving very well. He has actually been fantastic. And David Fafita returning to form has unlocked that left side. So, I was really actually considering the Titans plus 12, but one win on the season against the Warriors team that is still trying to find a bit of form after some down weeks. I don't know if I can trust them to make that play. And I was considering the overs for the total points as well, but it's meant to be rainy. So I've just got to back the Storm here in a very eat-ass pick. I think the minus 12.5 line is too big, but I can see the not impenetrable defense of the Storm getting cracked by this Titans team that is actually in a bit of an attacking flow lately and getting some points. So I'm going to reduce it down. Storm minus 6.5 at $1.50, and a not very good value, but safe pick for me.
Oh, all right, Jordan. Now, I said last week, Nanatana would score against the Titans if she was playing fullback. CNK was playing fullback. He scored against the Titans. Well, guess what this week? It's Pappenhausen playing fullback. He scored 6 tries in his last 6 tries and 7 appearances this year. Lock him in for one. Now, Mad Dog Money. He is playing game 200 this season. He's playing game 200 this week. He played absolutely fantastic last week. He sort of unlocked sort of what you expect from Mad Dog, and he's been on an absolute heater. I'm expecting a big game from him in this one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go Cam Munster, Ryan Pappenhausen, Storm win, $7. Lock that one in. Now the Cowboys, they take on the Dolphins.
Pappenhausen has the same lid as Nanatana as well, believe it or not.
Ooh, tidy. Flying around out there. Now the Cowboys take on the Dolphins at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. The Cowboys are $1.44 favourites in this one. The Dolphins are $2.80 underdogs, and the line is sitting at 7.5. Luke Keary, he's been named to play for the first time since round 2. His return will be coming off the bench though. And Viliame Vailea, he will make his club debut to replace the injured Tom Chester in the centres. I'd been talking about this all preseason, so I'm actually very excited to see what he's got for them. In the centre spot, we've got 2 massive injury blows in the right centres for the Cowboys. So if he can put together some good performances, he's going to be able to lock that sort of position down for the rest of the season, hopefully. Now for the Dolphins, Kafusi and Lemuelu, they have been named to make their return. 3 previous meetings between these two, the Cowboys have won 2, and the Finns also won, and that was the first meeting. Both teams have won 4 games this season. At the venue, a 59% win rate for the Cowboys, while the Dolphins, they won their only game against them here, and that was a 32-22 victory. I think the Cowboys will win this one off the back of the strike that they have, but it's been very, very disappointing from them to start the season. And I kind of compare the Cowboys to the Sharks as of last year, and I think that they're going to be a team that picks on bottom 8 sides and sort of just can't put it together against those top teams. It's been really disappointing for them. It's been super mixed. There's been errors galore, but then they just showed signs of this red-hot attack.
Yeah, and I agree with all those points. And that's what kind of makes this game a little hard to pick for me. I mean, I know the Cowboys have dominated the last 2 meetings 43-18 and then 34-10. Pretty much similar teams to what they've named in this one. And the Dolphins having maybe a weaker squad on paper and missing a few players in this game. So, yeah, the Cowboys do have the stick over the Dolphins even when they're at full strength. And I agree, though. The Cowboys have really just come back down to earth in these last 5 weeks. And it's just the same problems, man. Just stopping quality attacks and stopping them defensively. They just get yardage rolled on them and just get tries conceded everywhere. So it is still a very dangerous game for me. However, they still looked quite good in a loss to a great Panthers defense. And the Dolphins really let one slip against the Pongalus Knights. So that was a really bad loss for me for the Dolphins. Even though they have looked really good lately with Katoa playing fantastic and then Trey Fuller proving a dangerous replacement to Hammer. But I think the Cowboys have their number. It is meant to be really good conditions, so I am expecting an exciting, high-scoring game with, poor defenses on the Cowboys side and then good attacks on both sides. But I am going to agree with you. I'm going the Cowboys head-to-head into a total points over 48 at $2.45.
Tasty. Now, this one's a bit of an interesting one. For the last 2 weeks in a row, a player making their club debut, or just a debut in general, has scored a try. So we saw Armstrong last week for the Knights, and we saw Sam Stonestreet for the Sharks last week. Now, the one player I've pointed out that's making his club debut is Viliame Vailea. Zach Leiber, he scored 4 tries in 2 games against the Finns. So it kind of points towards the young rookie in this one on that left edge. But I am a little bit hesitant to go there. I'm going to go one out. And I'm going to take Kyle Fout into the Cowboys to win at $2.15. But if you want maybe a little bit of jam early on, have a look at Vailea in that one. Now the Knights, they take on the Warriors at McDonald Jones Stadium. The Warriors, they're $1.58 favourites in this one. The Knights are $2.40 underdogs, and the line sits at 3.5. The Knights' unchanged squad here from Adam O'Brien is after their win over the Finns. And the Warriors' back row, Kurt Capewell, he returns to the lineup after suffering a throat injury. And Bunty Afoa bolsters the bench for them, which is a big in for them. Both teams have 3 wins this season. It's a super disappointing start from the Warriors after huge expectations. I expected the season to be off and running. I thought we'd be right up in contention, discussing the likes of the Panthers, the Storm, the Broncos, and have the Warriors in that conversation looking solid, but it has been very, very disappointing from them. I've seen you pull your hood up, you're looking to hide from it. Dark times are ahead. 55% win rate for the Knights at home, and the Warriors have a 40% win rate here. The Warriors have won 3 of their last 4 games against the Knights, but the Knights have won their last 3 matches against the Warriors at McDonald Jones Stadium. I think that the Warriors will bounce back in this one, and I'm hoping that they're going to make a statement out of it.
I'm done. I'm done, bro. I'm done with the Warriors. I'm not going to pick them ever again. I can't do it. They look so shit in the last 2 weeks. I'm completely done. And I'm getting just so hot and bothered thinking about it, bro. Nah, I'm not done. I'm not done. They're taking me on a ride, and they're taking me on a ride for the rest of the season. I'm all done with them. I back them here. I think they can get this one done. I think they can bounce back. They have won the last 2 games, like you said, 20-12 and 40-10 over the Knights. And the Knights have actually lost 2 games at McDonald Jones Stadium this season, which was a bit of a fortress last year. So The Warriors can hang their hat on that. They still look a little thin on the bench. You know, they get Bunty back, which is a huge bolster, but they still have as strong of a starting squad as they can field with Capewell coming back. Whereas the Knights miss Ponga, they've been their best player easily. And, you know, he even helped make it close against us last time at home. So that will be huge for us. And I will just say this, the Warriors played terrible last week. There was poor decision-making in the strike zone, horrific kicks on last play by Martin especially, bad defense, really soft tackling at time. And if we play like that and the Knights play how they did last week, which was just complete well and beat you up through the middle, we will lose. We will lose if the Knights played how they did and we played how we did. But I think the style that the Knights showed last week without Ponga will work into our favor because no one beats us up through the middle with AFB in career best form. And they didn't have the dynamic attack that the Dragons, Titans, or Sea Eagles had that could punish us. So I do think the Warriors will bounce back here. I'm not just saying that to be biased. I'm not just ripping the jersey right here. I think we will win, but the confidence has taken a dip. So I am just going to back the Warriors to cover the -3.5 line at $1.90 until they show me a bit of better form.
You've seen that -3.5 line and you've thought that's nice and short. I'll take a little stab at that one and get my confidence back with the team. Try scorers, again, very scattered in this one. Pompey at centre he's got a great record for them. But the Knights' left edge is definitely their weakest edge. Now the Warriors, it's the only game plan that they seem to be using is come down the right edge. So it hasn't worked for me the last couple of rounds, but I'm hoping it's going to work in this one. And that's DWZ. Warriors win $2.33. The Sharks, they take on the Dragons at PointsBet Stadium. The Sharkies, they're $1.23 favourites. The Dragons are whopping $4.20 underdogs, and the line is at 12.5. Just one change for the Sharks. Toby Rudolph comes back into the side. And for the Dragons, Moses Sully out, which sees Lomax move from the wing to the centre spot. And Ravalawa comes back in after missing the last round with knee issues. Only one loss for the Sharks this season, and the Dragons have been up and down all year. Like we said that they would be this season, they're very, very tough to pick. They've outseeded my expectations, but they're kind of on a roller coaster, and that proved it last week in terms of the highs and then the very, very big dips that we might see from them. They have a 33% win rate here, though. They have only won 7 of their last 21 games here at PointsBet Stadium. The Sharks have won their last 8 games in a row against the Dragons, and 3 of their last 4 have been by a 13-plus margin. I think the Sharks will win this one. I do think, for some reason, that this could potentially be close, though.
Yeah, I am very impressed with the Sharks, and I'm backing them to get this one done here pretty comfortably. I'll just double check that that's what my bet says. Yes, the Sharks have destroyed the Dragons in the last 2 meetings, 40-8 and 52-16, and both at PointsBet. And the Sharks have kind of been doing that to everyone at the moment because they've only lost 1 game all year. They're undefeated at home at PointsBet. They've won the last 4, averaging 38 points per game, and they're only conceding 6 points over the last 2 weeks, which they seem to put a real emphasis on that side of the ball this year. They've actually really locked in on defense, and they had a really great performance over here against the Warriors on the defensive end as well. So I think that's kind of what's changed with the Sharks. I think they've got a little bit more edge on defense, which is helping them, have the confidence to maintain their line and then attack from everywhere and shift the ball and have that great attack that they've had for the last couple of years. So they've become a complete team, and we're kind of seeing maybe the final form of the Sharkies. I'm not going to call it yet because, like you said, they do have highs and they do have lows as of last year. But I like what I'm seeing from them, where as the Dragons they are dangerous. They have shown to be really dangerous, but they're very erratic. And the Roosters did show that a fast team like the Sharks can cut them to bits, and it is probably why the results of the last 2 have looked the way they have with big scores. So it is meant to be raining, and that does kind of make me hesitant to pick a total line overs or a big margin. But the Dragons do like to push offloads and play risky, while the Sharks have also been completing very high in the last 2 weeks with all their big forwards coming back into the team as well. So I am going to back the Sharks to do it 13 plus at $1.87. I like what I've been seeing from them. And the Dragons, I think the rain's going to work against them. So I'll back him.
Tasty. Now, 4 tries in his last 2 games against the Dragons. He has a fantastic strike rate, as we all know, at PointsBet Stadium. He scored a double in 3 of his last 4 games. He did not score last week. The Puntigogs rained down on me. Ronaldo, Mulatalo, Storm win, $1.83. There's not much juice there, but lock it in. Now, best bets from the last round. So I'll go first in this one. I've got Isaac Targo into Sunia Turuva at $4.50. Tommy Turbo, Manly 13 plus at $3.50. Dom Young, Dean Mariner, both anytime try scorers, $4.50 there. Josh Adokar into the Bulldogs to win at $2.20. I've got Pat Munster, Storm win at $7. Kyle Fout into the Cowboys to win, $2.15. DWZ, Warriors win, $2.33. Ronaldo Mulatalo, Sharks win, $1.83. I feel like those last two are the locks, the try scorers we want to see, and the games we're going to see the wins in. What are your best bets there, Jordan?
I've started off the week with the Panthers, 13 plus at $1.67. Seagulls also getting it done 13 plus at $2.35, so pretty good value there. Broncos 1 to 12 at $2.75, and the game of the round, absolute cracker I'm expecting. Bulldogs minus 7.5 at $1.83 over the Tigers. The Storm to cover a very heat us minus 6.5 line at $1.50, so ignore that if you want. Cowboys head to head and total points over 48 at $2.45, which I think is a good bet there. Warriors minus 3.5 at that small line, $1.90, and then finishing it off with the Sharks 13 plus at $1.87.
Tasty. I like seeing you branch out and giving us two options there, juicing the odds up a little bit. Now we move into our repeat seat bets and 40-20s. This is our lock. If you're following along, Jordan Tana, you are a lock every single week. But my lock for the week, Nana Tana, whoever you want to put at fullback, Ryan Pappenhausen, he's at fullback for the Storm this week against the Titans. Lock that in. Storm to win that one, lock that one in. $2.05 are the odds that will give you for my repeat set bet of the week.
Yeah, and we're back on track with the repeat set bets. Unfortunately, I took the Warriors for a couple weeks there, and they didn't quite come through. But I found a new lock, and that is betting against the Rabbitohs. I think the Rabbitohs are that bad that you can rely on them to get your repeat set bets coming through. So I've gone Panthers 13 plus at $1.67 for my repeat this week.
Oh, tasty. We move into the 40-20 bets. This one is a long raking punt, like we say every single week. We're looking for the 40-20. We're looking to change the momentum of your betting. None of these odds are under $4.20. This week I've got $5.53 odds. I've got Ryan Pappenhausen, Tommy Turbo, Warriors win. $5.53. It seems lock, and it's going to give you a 40-20, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, and that's really good odds as well to come through on that 40-20 bet. I've really just snuck over the line with $4.24 in my value. I've actually haven't got the Warriors in just yet. I need to see them one more week before I start picking them in my lock bets again. But we've got the Bulldogs minus 7.5. I think they can do it against the Tigers. The Seagulls minus 9.5. I think they can cut a young Raiders team to bits. And then ending it off with the Sharks head-to-head to wrap that all up for that $4.24. And hopefully we finally get a 40-20 bet over the line.
Tasty. I like them all. Now that concludes, obviously, our show, episode 54, if you've been following it along. We'll see you all next week as we review everything that's going on. Enjoy all of the footy that comes through from round 9. And yeah, we look forward to discussing more Origin as we close up on that. Nonetheless, subscribe to us on YouTube, give us a review on Spotify, and we'll see you all next week. Peace.
Up the wires.